Welcome back to the Blue Shark Show. Today we're going to talk about the Texas House Democrats bailing on the state of Texas and the people of Texas. So the Democrats chartered two planes, went to D.C. to avoid voting on the election bills. So they're not doing their jobs, folks. They get $221 a day per diem to be in Austin to vote for bills and vote on bills, whether you vote yes or no. That's their job. They're not here. So who couldn't see this coming, right? You know, they did it at the end of session. Now in special session, they take off. And they've been gone since Monday to D.C., and here it is Thursday. Well, finally, the Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan, puts out a memo. The Speaker of the House ordered to the Chief Clerk of the House, pursuant to his authority under House Rule 1, Section 10, he has relieved Representative Joe Moody from his position as Speaker pro tempore for the 87th Legislature, effective immediately. Great job, Speaker. Should have been done a few days earlier, but at least it's a start, and that should have been one of the first things that have been done. Now, I think we should go a little bit further, and all the Democrat chairs and vice chairs ought to be stripped of their chairmanships and put back into the regular committees. I spoke about the constitutional per diem of about $221 a day for the state reps. And once again, Speaker Phelan has put out another memorandum, and it states returning special session per diem. And it puts in here that he is requesting all members who are intentionally absent for the purpose of preventing the House from conducting business during special session to return their constitutional per diem to the state treasury immediately upon receipt. Now, that's something they should do if and when they get back. They said they would be back August 6th once special session ended. And we're starting to see other representatives other than the Speaker coming out. And on social media, Representative Kyle Biederman stated that he was in direct contact with both DPS and the Sergeant-at-Arms, and they have not been directed to go and retrieve the Democrats who are currently still in Texas. So, folks, we have Democrats that are in Texas that are unexcused that need to be at the Texas State House doing their business. He goes on and says, I am tired of the political theater from both sides of the aisle, and I am calling on Governor Abbott and Speaker Phelan to rectify the situation and instruct DPS to enforce the call of the House, which should be done. And I applaud Kyle Biederman, Representative Biederman, for doing this and putting a statement out. And I hope that more representatives follow. And, you know, to add insult to injury, several of these representatives spoke on CNN and Fox and a couple other channels and spoke at press conferences. And we're going to highlight a couple here that, in my opinion, they really don't have the talking points down, and they really don't know why they're there other than just to bust the quorum. And we're going to start off with Representative Michelle Beckley.
Representative, what's your end game here? I mean, so let's say that you wait it out. You wait out this special session, this special 30-day session in Washington, D.C. You then fly back to Texas. You're either arrested or you're not. But then the governor's still going to call another special session to get this done. What's your end game in Texas?
Well, I mean, our end game is for the senators here to see what is going on and what is going on in not just Texas, but across the nation. And so we're here doing everything we can and using all our tools that is available. And this is what we were elected to do, and that's what we're here, fighting for democracy.
And the CNN reporter goes on and says, is it fair to say you haven't thought out steps 5, 6, and 7? And Representative Beckley goes on and really can't speak of what's going on at all. And it's true. The CNN reporter's even saying, believe it, CNN is even, wondering what the heck is going on with these reps from Texas. And Michelle Beckley goes on.
Is it fair to say that you haven't completely thought out steps 5 and 6 and 7, that you're sort of living in the present of these next 30 days or however long and trying to get attention? I mean, unless there's something I'm missing, is there some other step beyond this?
We have to see how we go, because we don't know what the governor's going to do. We don't know what the Republicans are going to do in the state house or what the Senate is going to do in the nation. So everything is a moving puzzle, and we will adjust as we can. And we do have plans. And, it's not something we are at liberty to tell you today.
So Representative Beckley tells a CNN reporter that we do have plans. It's a moving puzzle. We don't know what the plans are because it's a moving puzzle. And then at the very end, she's not at liberty to say. So they haven't either filled her in on the talking points or they have no clue what they're doing in D.C. So up next, we have Representative James Tallarico, and he's from District 52. And he gets on Fox News, and he's questioned by the Fox News reporter, and it just goes downhill from there, and he talks to him about voter ID and other questions. Listen.
Are you okay with voter ID? Because you're going back to the talking points. I get it. The talking points have been issued. Are you okay with voter ID?
So voter ID is currently required in the state of Texas. I opposed having to
How about for mail-in ballots?
How
about having to send your ballot in? Should you have to prove who you are? Because that's what Democrats are opposing.
Pete, I just said I oppose voter ID. Currently, it's a law in Texas, but I oppose that law because I think you don't need it.
You oppose voter ID? You don't think the most sacred obligation of our republic, you should have to prove who you are in order to vote?
So there are a lot of Texans, actually hundreds of thousands, who don't have a driver's license, who
don't
drive at all.
Do they have a Social Security number? Because according to this Republican law, you can put your last 4 digits of your Social Security number in as proof of who you are. Did they not? No, help me out. Do those people not have Social Security numbers? And who are these people that can't get IDs?
So, Pete, if you're talking about the bill that we're currently focused on, not past Texas law, what this bill is going to do is not only reduce voting hours, it's also going to empower these partisan poll watchers who are going to look over voters' shoulders and prevent them from exercising their God-given right.
Partisan poll watchers, you mean the ones that weren't allowed in certain states at certain times?
And then up next, and our last person is Symphonia Thompson, who's been elected for 25 terms. That's 50 years in the House, the Texas House of Representatives. If there's ever need for term limits, folks, this is your case. Symphonia Thompson that doesn't want to sit in the Texas House because she will be held hostage.
And I'm up here because I don't plan to be a sitting person in that legislature. I'm not going to be a sitting.
You ain't no sitting duck.
I'm not going to be a hostage.
It's kind of ironic that Representative Thompson is saying anything about being hostage in the Texas House because she has had chairmanships, vice chairmanships, prestigious committee assignments, and now all of a sudden, after 50 years, she's going to be held hostage. It makes you wonder what in the world these Texas Democrats are thinking. So these Texas Republicans need to get on board, take care of business, take these chairmanships and vice chairmanships away, get down to some business, and pass this conservative legislation in the special session. And Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and the Speaker need to all get on the same page. We're a Republican state. We need to act like it. Let's start getting going on this special session. Once again, this is Blue Shark looking out for you, shining a light on your elected officials. Blue Shark out.